What's up everyone, it's Mark from AMT Motorsport, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the design features on our new double barrel diff mount for the C5 Corvette, and also install it on our race car so I can show you just how easy it is to slap this thing in your vehicle. The stock C5 diff mount is simply a chunk of rubber with a steel bar bolted to the top. Unlike the motor mounts, they are not filled with oil and are typically prone to catastrophic failure. But as these cars get older, the rubber can start to break down and give a lot more compliance than intended. So aftermarket diff mounts became popular to tighten up the entire driveline. A more solid mounting solution will help to eliminate wheel hop from hard launches, but if you're a track rat like me, also reduce the pendulum effect of the driveline swinging left and right during hard cornering. Most aftermarket diff mounts use a single rubber pivot on the lower part of the diff mount and a long upper bar with two rubber pads on the ends. These rubber pads are used to eliminate the twisting of the transmission, but the problem remains that you have exposed rubber on both the pads and pivot point in this design. The rubber will compress and break down over time and ultimately fail. The long bar also makes it heavier, more expensive, and difficult to install. Our solution is a fresh design and unlike anything else on the market. By using two pivot points, we eliminate the need for a long upper bar with rubber pads on the ends destined to wear out and fail. Our 90 durometer rubber is captured inside the 6061 upper mount with no place for it to escape and shield from the heat of transmission elements from the road. We wire EDM these 4140 steel tubes to be exactly 0.005 of an inch longer than this upper bar. That means when we assemble the lower housing, it's clamped to the steel tube, which will allow the upper bar to float with the flex of the rubber bushings. This makes for a very stiff mount, however, the rubber is still doing its job of isolating the noise and extreme vibration you would get with a totally solid diff mount design. Make no mistake that this will introduce an increased amount of noise, vibration, and harshness into the car, but since we're not making parts for grocery gutters, you shouldn't find the increase to be offensive. Now let's get in the shop to show you how easy this piece is to install. All right guys, we're at the shop. I'm going to show you how to put this diff mount in. I told you previously it's super easy, and now I'm going to put the proof to the pudding here. The car is up on a lift. It doesn't need to be on a lift. I'm not sure if a lift makes your life really any easier at all. You can do this thing on a, whatever it's called, a creeper on your back, not a big deal. Just make sure you get the back end up on jack stands. You are going to need a $2,700 snap-on transmission jack. If not, just a good old Craftsman with some wood on it. It really depends on what your level for danger is. Mine is high. So now that you've got the car supported up on jack stands, up on your lift, first thing you're gonna do is remove the 18mm nuts on the bottom of the stock diff mount. I could be using an impact wrench. I wanna show you how fast I can do this without the proper tools. How do you like that? All right, you've removed our 18mm nuts. Next thing we're gonna do is take your $2,700 snap-on trans jack. You're gonna lift the you're gonna lift the trans about, I don't know, a couple inches. Now that we have those bottom bolts undone, you're gonna be able to get up here. If you can see up here? There's a gap between here and the bottom of the tub area. We're gonna jack that sucker just until it touches the top. And it's plastic or fiberglass. You're not gonna hurt anything. There are some lines up there, but you see there's room for them. And it doesn't need to be all the way up, but it's nice to have it there just in case you need some extra room. So go all the way if you can. All right, with the trans raised, you get a lot easier access now to these two 15mm nuts that are attaching the differential mount to the actual diff casing. You can get under here with a ratchet, you can get under here with a regular old box wrench, whatever makes your life easy, I suppose. It's not a particularly cavernous space to get your hands up in here. So once you get that thing loose, you can kind of go the rest of the way with your fingers if you need to, if you want to, support the thing if you must. I shouldn't be wearing a watch right now, probably. Nope, needs more. Let's just keep on going. If you have one of those cool little air ratchet things, that would be cool, but we're gonna make do with what we got here. Just to show you, even the shadiest of shade tree mechanics like myself can get this thing done pretty quick. All right, you're gonna reuse these bolts, so don't chuck it in the garbage immediately, or ever. Oh, helpful tip, if you happen to have the right size sockets I can get under here, which I do not, you can raise these brake lines up, you can move them around. Yes, they're hard, but they're movable. I found sometimes the easiest way is to get up under here like such, and get it here at this guy. You can see we've got the other side of the trans mount loose. Maybe should have left a little bit of tension on it, but whatever. We're doing this in real time here. Let's see if I can get that with my fingers now. Okay, the diff mount is loose. You have your 2 bolts. Now I found the easiest way to get this thing out of here is to come through these brake lines, not trying to get underneath of them because they are sort of rigid. You know, right through this space right here. Let's see if I can get this first shot. You just kind of tilt it towards you. You've got the trans raised, so there's nothing holding it in. Kind of up and out. Whoop! Right through the brake lines. Piece of cake. So with the old diff mount out, we're gonna come in the exact same way with the new double barrel diff mount. Doesn't matter which way you orientate this thing. Obviously it's all symmetrical. Come in again through the lines like we came out with the other one. Get it in line with the slots in the cradle. Robert's your uncle. So sometimes, depending on how expensive your trans jack is, you're gonna lift this trans and it might torque a little bit. It might move from left to right and not be exactly in line with the holes that we machine in the upper arm. Don't email me and tell me that I put the holes in the wrong spot, because we didn't. Chances are your diff or your trans assembly, your drive line's kind of swayed one way or the other. This looks pretty good. You can do it a little bit lower if you like. You can raise it up to get it up there. Right now, I'm going to lift this diff mount up, stick this bolt through here as best I can. Started with my fingers just to get it snugged up a little bit. Can I do it? Yes, I think I can. That works. Yep, just to get it started. Yep. Good. Threads are in there. Where's my other bolt? Oops. Other guy over here. Sneak it up in there. Just get it started. Let it hang there. There's a couple of threads in there. And you're mostly good. We look underneath the diff cradle, or the cradle rather, and make sure our studs are protruding, and they are. At that point, we lower our trans. And you are 90% of the way home. Now, if you had the trans still up at this point, it'll ease your time getting in there with your ratchet, if you prefer to use that. Maybe you've got one of those nice fancy box wrench ratchets that I don't have here, obviously. But once you get this thing in place, you're looking for about 37 foot-pounds of torque. Good luck getting a torque wrench on there. With this little 6-inch wrench or so, that's gonna be a 7 out of 10 on the Ugga Dugga scale. A little more Ugga Dugga than that, ready? Ugga Dugga, love it. Let's go to the other guy. Ugga Dugga. Ugga Dugga. All right, you've got the upper arm torqued to 37 foot-pounds exactly, or a 7 out of 10 on the Ugga Dugga scale with a 6-inch wrench. Last thing we gotta do, just retorque up our nuts in the bottom here. Obviously, these bolts are machined into our lower part there, sticking out to the cradle. You can reuse the GM nuts if you like. We also include Nylock flange nuts, which everybody seems to love. These are 15 millimeters nut sockets, so while you took off the originals with an 18 millimeter, this sucker's gonna be a 15. And again, the spec on this guy is also 37 foot-pounds. Here you clearly can use a torque wrench. I'll torque that up off camera, promise. Yeah. And that is literally all there is to it. Maybe one of the easiest parts there is to install on your C5 Corvette, the AMT Motorsport double barrel diff mount. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you at the track. Hopefully behind me, not in front of me. Thank you.